There is a type of developer almost every team secretly loves. The developer that reply fast, they jump to incidents, they help juniors, they fix production bugs at 10 p.m., and they volunteer basically for just one more thing all the time. Managers call them reliable, teammates call them amazing, and company slowly starts depending on them. And then, one day, they disappear. Maybe not physically, maybe they still attend stand-ups, maybe they'll still answer Slack messages, but the version of them that cared, the version that had this insane energy, curiosity, and patience, that person is gone. And the strange part is, from the outside, this person often looks successful, reliable, important, maybe even impressive for a long time. But underneath that, their entire workday slowly stops being their own. And I think a lot of software engineers quietly drift into this without realizing it. Not because they are bad at their job, but because they slowly become unable to protect their time, attention, and energy. And honestly, at some point, I became this person myself to some extent. And the dangerous thing is, it feels great in the beginning because you feel important, needed, useful. People trust you, people message you directly, managers praise your ownership, and you become a safe pair of hands. And slowly, without realizing it, you start collecting what Harvard Business Review once called monkeys: problems, tasks, responsibilities. And the dangerous thing is how innocent this starts. One day, somebody asks, "Hey, could you help with release notes for this sprint?" And you say yes. And the monkey slowly crawls to your direction. It takes maybe 20 minutes, it's nothing, you want to help. But if you are not careful, the release notes monkey quietly jumps onto your shoulder and it's just there. And suddenly, next sprint, everybody just assumes you will handle release notes. Then maybe you also become the deployment person, then the production support backup, then the guy people ask before messaging product people. And none of these things individually feel dangerous, but that's exactly how this trap works. The monkeys arrive one by one. Tiny responsibility here, tiny interruption there, one more recurring meeting, one more emergency, one more thing only you understand at this point. And eventually you notice something which is honestly pretty disturbing. Your entire day became reactive. You couldn't focus for longer than maybe 20 or 30 minutes at a time before another message, another interruption, another quick thing arrived, you know. And the weirdest part, from the outside, it looks like you are doing super well, as I said. And after a while, these things stop feeling temporary. People just start associating them with you. Release notes, ask you. Production issue, ask you. Weird deployment thing, ask you. Not because somebody planned it, just because teams optimize for convenience, right? And eventually, you realize you are busy the entire day, but your real work moves into evenings even. Your brain becomes reactive, your attention fragmented, and being overwhelmed slowly starts feeling normal, maybe even necessary. Because part of your identity now depends on being the person who always says yes and always feels useful. But here's the part nobody tells you. The company usually does not intentionally create this situation. Most teams are not sitting in the dark room plotting how to destroy your mental health. What actually happens is a bit worse. Systems naturally optimize around the most responsible people. And if you never create boundaries, the system will keep consuming whatever energy you offer all the time until there is nothing left. Just burnout. I have seen this happen especially with senior engineers. The team starts relying on them for everything. Architecture question, Ask them. Production incident, call them. Confusing business requirement, bring them in to clear it. New joiner onboarding, they will handle it, they will mentor them. And slowly, they stop being an engineer. They become infrastructure. A human patch holding together organizational problems nobody wants to solve properly. And look, sometimes this absolutely accelerates your career in a short term. You get visibility, you become trusted, you become difficult to replace. But there is another side nobody talks about enough, I think. You also become impossible to disconnect. Your brain never fully leaves work. You start checking Slack during dinner, you mentally carry unfinished conversations into weekends, you wake up already slightly stressed because you know people are waiting for you, there are some new issues, and eventually your actual engineering work starts happening in tiny fragmented pieces between interruptions, which creates another horrible loop. Because now tasks take longer, you work later, which creates more exhaustion, which reduces focus, which creates even slower work, and suddenly this high performer starts quietly feeling like they are drowning and not successful at all. The dangerous thing is that this trap often catches very conscious people. People who genuinely care, people who want to help, who feel responsible, especially developers who came from difficult beginnings. Maybe you fought hard to get into tech as industry. Maybe you still remember feeling junior and disposable. Maybe part of you still believes you must constantly prove your worth. So every request feels like a test. Every opportunity feels dangerous to decline. And modern tech culture is quietly reinforcing this. Because a lot of companies celebrate ownership, we praise hustle, we romanticize the engineer who saves the release at midnight. But almost nobody celebrates the developer who prevented midnight emergency in the first place, or the engineer who created systems where knowledge is wide shared, or the senior who says, no, this is not sustainable. Let's figure out another way. Because calm engineers do not look dramatic, but dramatic firefighting engineers often create dramatic environments. And here is the realization I actually had myself. If your team completely falls apart every time you disconnect, this is not proof of your value. That is a proof that system is unhealthy and unstable, including the part you helped create on your own. And I think one of the biggest senior level mindset shifts is this realization. Your job is not to absorb infinite chaos. Your job is to reduce dependency. Those are completely different things. Strong senior engineers do help, but they also build boundaries. They document, they spread knowledge, they push back on unrealistic expectations. They ask why the same emergency keeps happening. They protect focus time. And most importantly, they stop treating exhaustion like proof of importance. Because exhaustion is not a status. It's usually a signal, and a bad one. It's sometimes a signal of poor systems, sometimes poor leadership, sometimes weak prioritization, sometimes personal inability to say no. Often all of them combined together. And honestly, I had to learn this myself. There were periods where I thought being constantly overloaded meant I was becoming more valuable. But eventually, I realized something a bit weird. The more fragmented my attention became, the worse my actual thinking became. And software engineering is still mostly thinking business, right? Not heroic multitasking. So, if you are a developer who always says yes, I want you to consider something. Maybe your career does not need more sacrifice right now. Maybe it needs more intentionality. Because there is a huge difference between being supportive and becoming emotionally trapped inside your own sense of usefulness. And one of the strangest things about burnout is, from the outside, it often looks like success for a very long period. People praise you while you are collapsing internally, which is why this is so dangerous. The goal is not becoming the person who carries everything. The goal is becoming the kind of engineer who helps create systems that do not depend on heroics to survive. And that, in my opinion, is much harder skill, but probably much healthier one. And honestly, I think a lot of developers quietly struggle with this, especially people who care deeply about their work. So I'm a bit curious. Have you ever noticed yourself becoming the person who always says yes? Or maybe you worked with somebody like this. Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy these kinds of conversations about human side of software engineering, you can also hit subscribe. Thanks for spending part of your time here, and I will see you in the next one.